Welcome in, guys. Pretty special episode of Deck of the Week, at least for me. A kind of callback to our pilot episode of this series, this deck that we're going to be going over, and should be again to the last of my knowledge, but is the final decks in my deck list. At least my kind of classic ones from over the last 10 years I built featured on this show. So pretty happy about this, pretty excited. It's a long time coming. You know them, you love them, whether you give a shit or not. This is it. It's Land Destroy. Yep. Lord WINDGRACE, Land Destroy. And for those of you who don't know, no, this is not Wakanda Forever Black Panther. There is just a character like that in Magic War, similar style. Okay? Lord WINDGRACE is a Planeswalker. He has the ability, +2, discard a card, then draw a card. If the land card is discarded this way, draw an additional card. So you're going to need a lot of lands for this guy. If you don't have lands, you still get 1 draw, which is good, but you want the 2 draw. -3, return up to 2 target land cards from your graveyard to the battlefield. And then a sneaky ability that you could try to slide by and win with, but put the target on your head. Destroy up to 6 target non-land permanents, which is big late game. Then create 6 2/2 green cat warrior creature tokens with Forest Walk. Even if the Forest Walk buff doesn't really pan out for you, it's a good hit. It doesn't really work. You're usually going to have to decide. You want to play him early right away, too. Like, if you have 5 mana, even though there's a lot of focus in this deck on other things, more often than not, get to the 5 mana ramp and just play Lord WINDGRACE. It's going to be your best bet, best strat. And then you're going to really decide -3 to get those lands back. That'll probably be a mid to late game, depending on how your board setup is. But mostly you're going to be putting him in to do that +2, because that's going to be where the big money is at. So where do we start? I guess we'll start with Planeswalkers, because there is a little sub-theme I added with this. It is a land destruction theme, so the way I run land destruction, it's going to work where it doesn't hit Planeswalkers. So Lord WINDGRACE is going to have to be a must-necessary hit when you land destroy. But if you have a couple of lands, maybe after you destroy lands or a way to come back, some good hits are going to be Sarkhan the Mad if he's still out, because he has a top 0, reveal a top card of your library, put it into your hand, then he deals damage equal to himself to the converted mana cost, which is pretty good. You'll figure out what you hit with it. Other times you'll maybe target your creature or opponent's creature to have the owner of it sack it, and then that player puts a 5/5 red dragon creature token with flying onto the battlefield. Really the only thing that matters in this deck. Another good Planeswalker, Gork the Wild Speaker, gives us a 3/3 green beast token to defend and block with, which is kind of good, because sometimes you're just going to have more spells and Planeswalkers to play your lands. So he's going to need the defense kind of maneuvers. But the +1 up untap 2 target lands is why we have him, and he kind of goes off, combos off, helps us float mana and do cool stuff. Koth the Hammer, he's just really good for his first 2 abilities, but if you can get that -5 popped off, you get an emblem where your mountains tap for 1 and deal damage to target creature or player, which I've used to kill people. Untap target mountain, it becomes a 4/4 red elemental creature until end of turn. It's still a land. Or you can -2, add red mana to your mana pool for each mountain you control. There, simple as that. Vraska the Unseen, these next guys are kind of a power trio. Vraska the Unseen, Garruk, Apex Predator, and then Ob-Nixilis Reignited. They're really only here because they destroy a permanent or a creature. He helps us draw. She kind of stays on the field. If they're going to hit my Planeswalkers, fine, but her +1 makes her, you get to destroy a creature if you hit it. It's really -3 destroy target non-land permanent while we have this. Garruk, again, like the original one, he gives us a beast that we can use to block with, except this time it has Death Touch, which is big. We can get rid of a destroy target creature, gain life to its toughness, which is good, or we get the +1 destroy target Planeswalker. Ob-Nixilis just destroy target creature, which is good, which we've already covered. Our final 2, Nissa of Shadow Bows is just good because landfall trigger scares people, and then we get elemental creature token onto the battlefield, which is really nice. So -5, you may put a creature card with converted mana cost less than or equal to the number of lands you control onto the battlefield from your hand or graveyard with 2 +1 counters on it. Hits more often than not. She's kind of like a one-off piece. You're going to know she's going to not be there. but let's try to see what we can pull off, you know? Chandra, Torch of Defiance, kind of a tech piece I want to see, mostly because they're -3. Deals 4 damage to target creature. You get +1, add 2 red, or you do +1, exile top card of your library, cast that card. If you don't, she does 2 damage to each opponent, which is really nice, feeds our grave, but at the same time keeps us moving and cycling through to try to get to land destroy cards. We'll move in real quick to the creatures. There is some strategic creatures, but since we talked about Planeswalkers, some of the tech pieces I like to put in, Karth the Lion is good because he's going to help us dig for Planeswalkers, and he gives us a +2 or an extra additional +1 on our loyalty activations, which I really like because even our negative loyalty activations will turn at least have a +1 on them. So it kind of cancels out. And digging down to 7 cards is deep because that skips us 7 turns even if we don't have anything good lined up for them. 3/5 is big body too. Ignoble Hierarch is kind of something I'm trying out. We do have the lands to cover our asses, but nice to have some mana rock creatures. And hey, why not? You got it. Mage Hunter. So there's like kind of a cycle of things I'm doing in here. Speaking of Planeswalkers, actually, real quick, Nissa Vastwood Seer is a flip Planeswalker for Magic Origins. It's kind of search for a land card on a creature, and then if we're lucky, we get the Planeswalker, but not often. So kind of treat this as a creature that's going to search for a basic force for you. So Mage Hunter, Iridescent Vine Lasher, Harsh Mentor, Runic Armasaur, and Klothys, God of Destiny. Klothys is really ramp. Runic Armasaur gets us a draw, but he kind of has the same ability as Harsh Mentor, where whenever an opponent activates an ability of a creature or land that's not for mana, you draw a card. Whenever an opponent activates an ability of an artifact creature or land on the battlefield that's not mana, does 2 damage to that player. Koth has ramp, or we gain 2 life and do 2 damage to each opponent. Iridescent Vine Lasher has a landfall. When a land you control enters, this creature deals 1 damage to target opponent. Mage Hunter, whenever an opponent casts an instant or sorcery spell, they lose 1 life. So we got kind of some annoying pings, which do add up, surprisingly, in Command Drive. Been finding out lately in our pods. Just cheap little jabs over time. You can get 3 or 4 damage in after a couple turns. It's annoying, and it works out. At least kind of gets you to a quicker end game state. Tergrid, God of Fright is just a tech piece I put in. We're going to have some sacrificing going on. If we're going to have our opponent sacrifice land, then when an opponent sacks a non-token permanent or discards a permanent, you may put that card from the graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. Or we flip. A lot of times you really want to do it for the Lantern, because it's really annoying, kind of punch someone, target player loses 3 life unless they sack a non-land permanent or discard a card, and we can pay and kind of reset, which I've done a couple of times. You use it to bully the Kaalia players, you use it to bully the Kaalia players. Just from my history, from my pots, big things. Oh, and the last pinger, sorry, apologize. Last pinger. A couple of king ones leading into our cycle, but Mogus God of Slaughter is just really annoying. This is a piece people are going to have to scratch their heads how to get rid of him because he's indestructible. He's not a creature for a while, and when he is, he's still hard to get rid of. Everyone takes 2 at the top of their upkeep, or they sack a creature, so they're always just going to take 2 eventually. It's kind of annoying. Ob Nixilis going in, we're getting into landfall creatures. Things that matter for landfall and getting beneficial hits. The leader of such is Ob Nixilis. When a land enters the battlefield in your control, you may have target player lose 3. If you do, put 3+1 counters on him. He gets pretty big pretty fast, and people are like, we gotta get rid of him now. Avenger of Zendikar could be an end game piece. You just want to try to get a lot of plant tokens equal to the lands you have, and then you play a land, give them some +1s. It's a big problem. Grazing Gladeheart is good for gaining health. Land enters, we get 2 life. Works out, you'd be surprised. Lord of Windgrace brings back 2 lands. I do not run Crucible of Worlds, unfortunately, which I should do, because that will help for more land recursion. Get Rog Monster's nice. A lot of payoff with Lord Windgrace on the battlefield. These next creatures are kind of payoffs for when Lord Windgrace is on the field. Starting off with Get Rog Monster. At the beginning of your upkeep, sack the Get Rog, unless you sack a land. You may play additional lands on your turns. Whenever 1 or more lands are put into the graveyard from anywhere, draw a card. Again, Lord Windgrace, that -3, return lands back, or his +1, dump 2 lands. It'll kick off with him. And if you have Underrealm Lich, if you would draw a card, instead look at the top 3 cards of your library, then put 1 into your hand and the rest into your graveyard, you're going to be able to choose and mix your turns. It gets pretty crazy. You'd be surprised. World Shaper benefits off Lord Windgrace. Once we're going to set up in a position to destroy lands. When he dies, we'll get our lands back from the graveyard. So you kind of want to play him like a bit, maybe even after you destroy lands, but you have Lord Windgrace from the battlefield. You destroyed lands, Lord Windgrace is on the battlefield. Maybe use his ability to bring back 2 lands. You have 2 lands on the field where you had some mana ramp somehow. Boom. Get World Shaper to die, and you're going to have all your lands returned. It's kind of a big hit. Soul of Windgrace is nice. He's kind of an if you have him in hand, he is good to play over Lord Windgrace sometimes. Kind of a secret hidden general. Kind of a lot to do. I'd say read this card, do your own research, but really when he enters, we get to put a land from our graveyard on the battlefield, tapped under our control. It's big, it's rampy, I love it. Sakura Tribe Elder, Steve. Nightshade Harvester, when our land enters the battlefield under an opponent's control, they lose 1 life. Again, we're under that ping life shit. And then some disruptive cards. Herald of Leshrac, he has a cumulative upkeep of gain control of a land you don't control. So let's say we destroyed lands, people are rebuilding, somehow he's there. It's kind of be annoying or intimidating. Or just even if he didn't, people will really try to get rid of this card right away. Bone Horde Dracosaur, at the beginning of your upkeep, exile the top 2 cards of your library. You may play them this turn. Gets a benefit of a treasure or creature based off what you're pulling off. Just kind of a good ramp piece along with Lord Windgrace to get into our land destructions. All right, so moving into our instants and sorceries, because they kind of are really the cream of the crop of this, specifically our sorceries. We could go harder on the land destroy. I kind of opted to be a little soft. I like getting a little mid-rangey with this, less focus, kind of spreading our focus around the Planeswalkers and destruction. Epicenter is just all players sack all lands when you got Threshold. Jokel Hops is going to be a good one. Funky art, funky name. This one hits good because it's destroy all artifacts, creatures, and lands. They can't be regenerated. Decree of Annihilation, remove all artifacts, creatures, lands, graveyards, and hands from the game. Really annoying, but really you're going to cycle it to just destroy all lands. It's just a cheap one when Lord Windgrace is out. Death Cloud, each player loses X life, then discards X cards from their hand, then sacks X creatures, then sacks X lands. Just a good one. Pretty good one. Tectonic Break is nice because you can kind of choose, but it does hurt you. You can pay X, each player sacks X lands. So just kind of cool. Usually I like to pay 3 and then 2 red. Kind of be nice to the board, but mean if you have Lord Windgrace out. Splendid Reclamation, again, is going to just be like our other creature card. The Merfolk guy name escapes me at this time. You know how it goes. Return all lands from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped, which is really nice. My Grim Tutor, just a flashy piece. Just get straight to the land destroyer right away. Life's Finale is just a destroy all creatures thing, and then you can get to a target's opponent's library and have them put creatures to their graveyard. Kind of a downside, you don't really want to do that, but hey, maybe you do. This card I've used against community members, and community members have bought this card to use against me, and it's worked. Pretty funny, salty card, Choice of Damnations. And the art really explains a lot what's going on. Target opponent chooses a number. You may have that player lose that much life. If you don't, that player sacks all but that many permanents. So what's going on? They're going to choose a number. Let's say they're like, oh, I'll choose 3. Okay, sack everything but 3 permanents. Oh, what? Well then, no, I'll choose 10. I'm not gonna have you lose 10 life. Sack all but 10 permanents? No, you're gonna lose 10 life. So you see what I'm saying? The higher the number, you're probably gonna want to be their life loss. The lower, probably what they're gonna have to sack down to. Pretty funny tongue twister of a card, I'd say. Savage Twister's nice. You get to choose and just board wipe the field, which works in tandem with Natural Affinity, an instant we're just going to bring up real quick. It's kind of why it's in the deck. Until end of turn, all lands become 2/2 creatures that are still lands. Quick, cheap, mean combo to hit people and destroy their lands with Savage Twister and Natural Affinity. Gaze of Grant's nice because just destroy each non-land permanent with X converted mana cost or less. Good board wipe when you need it. Goes wide. Defossilize, a new card I'm trying out. Return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. That creature explores and explores again. Hit pretty well with Soul of Windgrace. And dig up kind of Grim Tutor. I'm just trying out, seeing what's up. Just because the cleave costs a 4, whatever. But it's still going to help us get to a land, or at the very least, or at the very most, land destruction. Now, we've already talked about Natural Affinity. We want to turn everyone's lands into 2/2 creatures and board wipe them and smash against them. Or use our own to benefit us, whatever. Putrefy is an instant, just destroy target creature, artifact can't be regenerated, good to have on hand. Same with Assassin's Trophy, hit target permanent, get rid of some things that are annoying at instant speed. Same with Lord Windgrace's Judgment. Any number of opponents, destroy target non-land permanent that player controls. You go wide on this one, okay? At least 3 hit if you're in a pot of 4. My cheap sorcery, or my cheap instants that are kind of tech pieces, I feel. A Braid's nice, 3 damage to target creature, hit a commander you don't like, or at least get rid of a target artifact. Oblivion's Hunger, hopefully trying to turn one of the things that matter for our strats as creatures indestructible, like get Rog Monster. That's really it. Tybalt's Trickery is nice, you want to cast it on yourself or an opponent, fuck with them, see what happens, fuck around, find out. And then Fog, I've just learned from other pods, people playing and seeing what they pull off. It's pretty nice. Last but not least, we got Fire Covenant. Deals X damage divided any way you choose among any number of target creatures, where X is the number of life, the amount of life you pay. It's pretty good. Hits a big board wipe at the cost of hurting yourself. Then finally, we're going to get into our artifacts and enchantments. There's not a lot, just some quick ramp. With Valcall Expiration, hits landfall trigger, you get to exile top card of our library, and then if you don't play it, you get to return them to your graveyard and deals damage to opponents, which is a big hit. Fires of Invention, just cast stuff equal to the number of lands at this expense of only 2 spells a turn. It's pretty good, just get to land destroy right away if we have Lord Windgrace out. Just cheap workarounds. Price of Glory, whenever a player taps a land for mana during another player's turn, destroy that land. Just kind of funny. Fucks me on playing instants, but also hurts some of the blue players or combo players. Zuran Orb, sack lands to get 2 life. Darksteel Ingot if we're destroying lands. And this is a arena promo. Ooh. Add 1 mana of any color. Just some good ramp. All right, last but not least, the lands. I think there's like 40. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42 lands, maybe 41. Could be counting a few extra, counting that fast. And since this is my favorite pet deck, the lands are kind of blinged out. There are some tech lands, like a cool thing we do, Tomb of Urami with Nissa's Splendid Reclamation. Somehow,
oh, awesome.
Yeah, you're gonna destroy all, so what happens is, you're gonna sack all lands you control. Well, first you're gonna float all of your mana in the appropriate colors. Then you're gonna sack all lands you control with Tomb of Urami, put a 5/5 legendary black demon spirit creature token into play. Then with the rest of the floating mana, Nissa's Splendid Reclamation to get your lands back. And you kind of just, everyone, I call it a party trick. It surprises everyone. On the pilot episode of Deck of the Week, the very first episode, I included gameplay of me achieving that. It's just kind of funny. It makes everyone go, wow. Bosejo Who Endures, come on, tech piece of the century. You need to have it. Destroy target artifact or enchantment or non-basic and opponent controls, which is nice. Swamp in the unset. And then Immersion Zone's nice for maybe Soul Windgrace or a Get Rog Monster at flash speed. But hang on. My most proudest achievement, guys. I had to flash the bling. 2 unlands. And in the deck list yourself, guys, for this one, you're gonna have to do your own research and look. I'm not gonna go too hard on the lands. There's some classic bangers, some hidden gems on what I chose. We could go harder. We could increase the land destroy. I've seen lists that go way harder. Lately, in my mind, I feel like we could up our artifacts, take a land out or 2, and add Crucible Worlds, which I don't have, just to help speed up the land destruction. But it plays pretty mid-range and aggro, and it's really fun. It's the first commander I ever built, and kind of the first idea where I realized, oh, dump lands to grave, return them with Lord of WINDGRACE, and then destroy lands. I'm like, oh, we can destroy lands? This guy loves doing that then. So, it's my deck of the week. Hope you guys like it. Let me know.